love you too. Welcome back to the Mindless Circus Club Cooking Essentials class. My name is Mike Adams. I'm the executive chef. And we're playing off of last week. We're grilling in my backyard. Last week we focused on meats. This week we're going to focus on vegetables and pretty much how to bring an entire meal to the table off the grill. Quick shout out to Robin. Thank you for all that you do, for all your hard work and for making it look good. Shout out to Dirk who got the night off, and big thank you to my beautiful wife for her help filming this. So thanks, honey. So why do it all off the grill? Well, if you're anything like me, you hate doing dishes. And this is a great way to get around that. It's not that much fun to prep half your meal in the kitchen and then have to run out to the grill and cook your meat and then bring it all together back in the kitchen. It's really, to me, it's just when I grill, I grill. I like to do as much as I can off the grill. It saves a lot of time. It's an opportunity to be a little bit more involved with your guests if you have them over. And really, it's just taking advantage of what a beautiful heat source this is, what a beautiful way of cooking this is. So the first thing I really want to talk about is, what can you grill? And the answer to that is really almost everything. Some things need a little bit more work though, and we'll go into that. Grilling is a summer thing. It's something that we do all summer long. When the weather warms up, be outside with our friends. And the produce that is best to grill is really reflected in that season. It all just works so much easier on the grill, with one exception. And we'll get into that. In the fall, you have brassicas, you have Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, mustard greens, kale. The pumpkins start to come in, potatoes come in. One common thread is those are really hard vegetables to grill. Will they benefit from the taste of a grill? Of course, everything benefits from that smoky, umami, beautiful flavor, but they're very difficult to grill. So I'm gonna give you a little advice as far as grilling items like that. The one exception in the summertime of things that is actually difficult to grill is gonna be beans, shell beans and pole beans. Shell beans are just, little beans. I can't even think of the name of them right now. Cranberry beans, butter beans. How can you grill those? You got to cook those in water. And what about pole beans? What about green beans and Romano beans and yellow wax beans and blue lake beans? Are they going to benefit from the flavor of this? Of course they are. But my advice to you, if you're going to grill something like that, just as if you're going to grill a broccoli or a kale or a Brussels sprout, blanch it first. Take it back into the kitchen, bring a pot of water up to a boil, put it in the water just until it's just before it's done. Take it out, ice it or chill it on a sheet tray, and then bring it out to the grill. I know October and September around here are really hot. That's just the beginning of all our fall vegetables. So that's one way to get around it. During the summertime though, we have such a beautiful bounty of stuff we can do. And what I want to do is create a menu, first course through last, excluding the meat, which we did last week, just to give you some ideas of what we can do. And the first thing I always start with, this is part of every barbecue I ever have, is the quintessential summer ingredient. I don't buy it until the day after Memorial Day every year. I'm very strict about that. I don't know why. I don't bring it into the restaurant. I don't bring it into the house. And to me, this is everything that summer is. Possibly my favorite ingredient in the world when it's in season. My favorite ingredient to work with because it's so clean, it's so fresh, and it's so beautiful. And that's Brentwood white corn. I'm about to cry talking about corn. That's how much I love this vegetable / starch. So corn is interesting in the fact that I find that the more you process it, the more flavor you lose. When corn is picked, it has a super, super high sugar content. And as it sits, those starches develop. And it gets starchier and starchier and starchier until it loses a lot of that sweetness. And really the hallmark of good corn is that sweetness. Stuff from Brentwood, the white stuff, I just prefer it over the yellow. I don't know why, but I think it's just the best. So when I talk about preparing corn, really, and keeping the preparations to a minimal, if you've seen my recipe for corn soup, it's 3 ingredients. My grilling technique for corn is essentially the same approach. Minimal, minimal, minimal. All I'm gonna do is take a cob of corn, I knock the hairs off the top, and I'm just gonna put it on a hot grill. Now, what I like about this is it protects the corn kernels, which dry out fairly quickly, and it kind of steams. It steams in those fibers. It steams in those corn kernels. This grill is set on high. It's a gas grill, and I am just gonna put it on there and keep an eye on it. And I am literally going to burn those corn husks, and in the process, that corn is gonna steam in the middle. I'm gonna close my top to kind of trap all that heat. It's gonna take probably 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll just keep an eye on it. Now, when you're grilling, my quintessential rule, apparently I'm in love with that word today. My biggest rule, keep things large and then bring them to a cutting board. If you're grilling zucchini, grill large pieces. If you're grilling peppers, grill large pieces. If you're grilling broccoli in the fall, large pieces. For some reason, you want to grill small pieces. The Japanese have a little trick. Most of their grills have a rack like this. This is what the top of their grills look like. I'm always talking about wire racks on sheet pans. Here's another use for a wire rack if you want to grill smaller pieces. Take this wire rack, put it on top of your grill, and just grill right on top of that. That will work. For me, I like to go large, and then I'll take it to a cutting board and I'll break it down a little bit more. So generally I start out a meal with a salad. I know, you're looking at me like, grilled salad, really? And my answer to that is yes, absolutely, hands down. What you wanna do, move this out of the way. Go out, get some romaine lettuce, or gem lettuce, or Treviso, Radicchio, Endive, and we're gonna put a little bit of char on it. And that's gonna bring out a beautiful flavor to it. So just take your lettuce, just with a little bit of oil. Remember, season. Gonna get our grill pretty hot. That's how I adjust the heat on mine. For the most part, most of the things we're gonna be grilling over medium heat. This is gonna be one of the exceptions because it's gonna go on the grill and off the grill fairly fast. Look, our corn is starting to get brown on the outside. Really quick, back to the corn. If you're a big lover of corn like I am, you don't want to take the time to fire up that grill, crank that oven up, put the corn on a roasting rack, throw it in there until it's dark brown on the outside, take it out, cool it down. It's just as delicious. The corn is just steaming with those fibers and that hair and all that flavor, and it's completely unadulterated flavor. Back to our lettuce. Drizzle it with a little bit of oil, kind of work it around. I'll always prep my stuff on a sheet pan. I'm gonna season my grill. Remember, grills are made out of cast iron, so we gotta season them. This has already been cleaned. I'm gonna find the hottest part of my grill, which is usually right above the coals. So, and I'm just gonna throw that on there really quick, and we're gonna get a little bit of char on it. It's gonna take a minute, maybe 2 minutes. It's actually a little cool. So, what do you do with it after you grill it? Simple. Toss it with some dressing, hit it with a little Parmesan cheese, call it a day. That's really all it needs. It's gonna add a whole new depth Now, if you don't want to grill your lettuce and you still want to incorporate some grill ingredients into your salad, use some mixed greens, use some butter lettuce, and just grill some peaches. But don't do much. Grilling is all about simplicity. It's all about really adoring the flavors of the vegetables that you're grilling. So we're getting a little bit of color on that. Not too much. You just want to slightly wilt it. Your grill could have been a little bit hotter. That's okay. The thing about grilling is it's supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be no stress. So don't let it be stressful. So we'll take these off when they just have a little bit of color on them. If you do a mixture of romaine and radicchio, the long radicchio or even the short radicchio, it's really great with a nice Caesar dressing, some croutons and some grana padano, or just a lemon vinaigrette, some Parmesan, or however you want to eat it. So I'm going to let those char up a little bit. I'm not going to take very long at all. And we're going to move on to our next thing. Starches. There's not a lot of starches around that are seasonal in the summertime. Summer's not really about starch except for corn. So, can you grill potatoes? I think you could grill potatoes. I don't think in my entire career I've ever grilled potatoes. Is it possible? Absolutely. But if you're looking for a starch for your meal, think outside the box. And really, what I'm about to do is in no way outside the box. I have some beautiful olive bread from Tribeca Bakery. You want a chewier bread that's going to hold up. So a sourdough, an olive bread, a whole wheat bread, a batard, Acme, Semi-Freddy's. There's a lot of smaller local bakeries. So our romaine is ready to go. I'm just going to take this off really quick. So the romaine is done, and it can sit. It can come down to room temp. It's going to wilt a little bit more, but it's still going to be delicious. Like I said, with the romaine, with the lettuces, a little bit of dressing, a little bit of cheese. Really, that's all you need. So back to our bread. Nice, chewy bread. Like I said, Acme, Semi-Freddy's. You want to coat it with just a little bit of olive oil. And my one rule, one of my many rules, but when you're cooking bread, more so, when you're making croutons, when you're grilling bread, when you're making toast for avocado toast, when they make the bread, they put salt in it. So don't add any salt to this. It's already got enough salt in it. So with the romaine, we were grilling on high heat. If you're grilling bread, go a little bit lower. You know, I'm always saying medium heat is your friend. And with bread, that would be the case. So I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. Make sure we got a good coating of oil on these. And this would be a great way you could grill these up and then cut them up and use them for croutons in a salad. You could just make a nice little guacamole type mix and smear that on top. We're going to take a look at our corn while our bread's grilling. So this is what we're looking for. Just gonna, you see this green part? We're gonna put that back down on the fire and let it go a little bit more. These are almost there. And once again, this grill, it's on high. It's as hot as it gets. And you want to essentially burn the outside of that corn. So if you look at your bread, you're starting to get nice grill marks on part of it. And we're just looking for a light toast, you know? And you can move your bread around. Don't be shy. I know all this heat, it can be very intimidating. Longer tongs always help. Get in there, enjoy it. And it looks like we went from high to low, so I'm gonna turn it up to medium there. And if you don't have an option like this on the grill where you can adjust the heat, it's okay. Remember what we talked about last week about direct heat and indirect heat. Build your coal pattern off to one side of the grill and then disperse the coals a little bit so that you're creating areas of different heat variation. Got some really good color on this bread. I'm gonna flip it and do the same thing. Now, if you get a little bit of char on the bread, that's great. You know, that char actually tastes really good, and that's kind of what we're going for. So while that's finishing up, I'm gonna take a look at my corn here. And that is exactly what you want right there. Burnt all the way around. Black. And all those corn kernels are completely protected. So taking our bread off the grill, and from this point, there's 1,000 things we can do with it. Cut it into nice little croutons, smear it with some beautiful camembert or any type of cheese. Just melt some cheese on top of there. Cream cheese and smoked salmon. You can make a little bruschetta. So what I like to do with it is kind of a bruschetta panzanilla mix. Panzanilla is a Tuscan bread salad. I've taken some toy box tomatoes, seasoned them with salt. I made a red wine vinaigrette. I'll include that in this video, my red wine vinaigrette and my lemon vinaigrette recipe. And I'm gonna macerate these tomatoes for about 30 minutes to an hour, and you can do these with larger tomatoes so you get lots of juice, lots and lots of juice. So I'm gonna rehydrate that bread with a nice extra virgin olive oil. And then I'm gonna take some of these tomatoes and I'm just gonna put them over the top. I know this is all stuff you could easily do at home, and I'm probably already showing you something you already know, but hopefully I'm making it a little bit easier for you. So we've added our tomatoes, but I think the most important thing to a panzanilla is really the juice at the bottom. We'll take a little bit of some fresh basil right before it goes out, and we're just gonna tear it over the top. And that is summertime right there. That is everything that summer is. Zucchini and squash, cut it lengthwise. With peppers, cut the sides off, cut the bottom off, nice large pieces. Onions, if you can do it, cut your onions into rings, keeping them whole. It's not as easy as you think. You gotta peel them whole, and then you gotta slice them whole. If you can't, get a wire rack, put it on there. You're good to go. It's all gonna be fantastic. So I'll put a little bit of olive oil on my board here, or on my sheet tray. And I'm gonna kind of move the squash around. Same thing with the onions, because really I want to deal with these onions as little as possible, because I don't want to break them up, because the more I break them up, they're gonna be harder to grill. I'm gonna drizzle them with some olive oil, sprinkle them with salt. Be pretty aggressive with your salt. And then we are gonna throw these on the hottest part of the grill. And that grill is still seasoned from our last time. Really, when you put something on the grill, except for bread, you should hear that sizzle. That's really important. That means it's cooking, that means your grill's hot. With the peppers, you can start them upside down, right side up, backwards, forwards. Now, here is an issue that you may run into. Oh, see, my onion just fell apart on me. It's the worst. Grilling onions, it's not as easy as it should be. I'm gonna put these on here. And while those are cooking, so I'm looking to medium to medium high heat right now. I'm just going to keep an eye on them. Now, depending on your heat, these peppers might cook pretty fast, and they might cook pretty slow. It's hard to judge. The squash, I'm assuming your grill is pretty hot, so they're probably going to cook. We're probably going to get some nice color on them before they're done. So what we want to do, we're going to use a little bit of indirect heat. We're going to use direct and indirect. So while these are all on here, I'm actually going to cover my grill, open it up all the way so it breathes super heavily. We're just going to let them go for a minute or two, and that's going to start to cook them from the top from two sides. And while we're doing that, we can talk about corn. So my corn's been sitting here for 10 or 15 minutes. And what I would do is I would get a trash can, and I just eat all of it. No, I would get a trash can and I would chuck this over a trash can just like you normally would. And at this point, there's almost no exterior heat on this. Keep an eye on that. So I want you to shuck that corn. You get a little bit of char in there. You get a little bit of black. That's fine. Corn is still warm. You'll find that the hairs, the fibers actually pull away a lot easier. And if you're going for presentation, I mean, really, it doesn't get any cornier than that. So if you're bothered by the fibers, if you're bothered by the hairs, just take a towel and you can kind of wipe that off. Or you can break the whole thing off. And at this point, it's so soft and it's so perfectly moist and it's so delicious. You can break it with your hands. You can cut it with a knife. And if you want to reheat it, just throw it on a sheet tray back in the grill just for a minute or two, just to give it a little bit more heat. Like I said, that's the good thing about a lot of this stuff that we're grilling. We can always just lightly reheat it. As far as the corn goes, I would eat it just like that. You can put a nice little compound butter, some sea salt, but really I like it in its purest form. So our peppers are starting to wilt a little bit, and that's when I know they're about halfway, and that's when I'm going to flip them. I didn't get a lot of color on the underside, so I'm going to get some more on the overside. And then let's check our zucchini. So we're getting a little bit of color on there. We're going to let it go a little bit further, and then we're going to flip it. That's really what you want, if not even a little bit more. That part of the grill is a little bit hot. So we're going to let these cook for a couple minutes. Check our onions. With the onions, see the grates on the grill? Slide your tongs in there and then give them a flip. Very gently. It's like a baby. You got to be so gentle with this. I've grilled so many onions in my life, and it never turns out perfect. So we're gonna let those go for a couple more minutes, and then we'll take them off and we'll go to the cutting board. So we've had our vegetables on the grill for a little bit. We've got some good color on our zucchini. The backside of our peppers are a little charred. So I flipped them. I moved them to a colder part of the grill. With the veggies, I'm just checking them. So the big question is, Mike, how do I know when my veggies are cooked the way I want them? I mean, it's the ultimate question, right? How do you know? So we're going to take a little lesson. What I want you to do, I want you to think about the texture that you want that vegetable to be in your mouth. How do you like that vegetable? Do you like your peppers crunchy? Do you like them super soft, like a roasted red bell pepper? How do you like your zucchini? Crunchy, on the softer side, in between? And I'm always talking about being tactile with your food, and this is where it's really important. If you were to take this piece of zucchini, and just really quickly, don't burn yourself, but just feel it. What does it feel like in your hand? Convert that feeling in your mouth to the feeling in your hand. I want you to go a little bit less, because they're going to continue to cook just for a second or two. I like my zucchini a little bit on the crunchier side. I don't really like soggy squash. So I'm going to take these off now. The peppers, I like them to have a little bit of a bite. So I pulled those off. And when I say bite, I mean toothiness. Now the onions, I like to cook my onions a little bit more. And you're gonna just tell when you see them start to weep, when you see moisture start to come out, when they start to get glossy, when they start to get soft, I think they're ready to go. So this right here, you could serve this. You could serve this just the way it is. And back to my onions, you can see I started off with 3, I ended up with 2. It's just the way it goes every time. You could serve this just the way it is. It's gonna be delicious. If you don't want to go any further than this, don't. There's no stress. There's no need to. But if you just want to kind of go further, if you want to do something a little bit more, we're going to take these vegetables. We're going to cut them up a little bit. And cut them up however you feel comfortable doing. Kind of went over vegetable cuts. Oh, wow. I don't even know how long it's been. Was that 6 weeks ago? What was our 3rd or 4th class? Nice little triangles on those. You know, they're a little hot. You can wait them cool down and then reheat them, whatever you want to do. But the onions, just cut them into big pieces. It's no big deal. It's grilled. It's supposed to be rustic. There's nothing fine dining about grilling. I'll tell you that right now. Most fine dining restaurants don't even have a grill. Put our squash up. Nice triangles. Covered that a couple weeks ago. And if you look, you can see the squash. It's cooked all the way through. It's just cooked all the way through. Which is the way I like it. It doesn't have that raw flavor. So we're going to take all those grilled veggies, put them into a bowl. This is where I want you to be creative. I'm going to take some whole basil leaves. There's some whole basil leaves in there. I'm going to take, this is one of my favorite combinations, some whole mint leaves. Tear those in there. A little bit of a red wine vinaigrette or lemon vinaigrette, or just a little olive oil and some vinegar. One other thing with all these vegetables, you could marinate them ahead. If I'm going to marinate vegetables for the grill, it's going to be some extra virgin olive oil, some salt, some garlic, some balsamic, and maybe some oregano. But I actually prefer to do it after they come off the grill. I just think you get a better flavor that way. The quintessential, there it is for the 3rd time today, summer salad. And from there, we can put it on a plate, serve it in the bowl. Less dishes is best. I like mine. This is a Greek feta. And that is it, really. It's a beautiful salad. It's super fresh. It's super healthy, delicious. Yeah, and everybody will love it if they like vegetables. So we've grilled some lettuce. We made a bruschetta or a panzanilla. We grilled some corn. We made a beautiful summer vegetable salad that also works well with eggplant, Jimmy Nardello peppers, whatever you want to throw in there. And you're thinking that's it? No. One more thing. What are you going to do about dessert? Yes, you can do dessert on the grill. And it's really easy, and people will get a kick out of it. So these are some peach season just started. These are some peaches from Frog Hollow Farms up in Cape Valley. And what I did was I sprinkled them with a little bit of sugar. Well, I cut the seed out. I sprinkled them with a little bit of sugar, and I let them sit for about 30 minutes. Same thing I did with the tomatoes. It's called macerating. You would be amazed at how much a good quality olive oil and stone fruit taste together. apricots and Ladimi olive oil from Italy. Absolutely amazing. California olive ranch, extra virgin, and peaches, beautiful together. Plums and Bucatelli Santorini olive oil, all fantastic. So if you're unsure about the olive oil, you'll use a neutral oil like a canola. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these, we're gonna put them on the hot part of the grill. First, as always, we're gonna clean our grill because that helps things not to stick. We're gonna put a little bit of oil on there. You can see my grill's starting to die on me. So I'm gonna put these on the hot part of the grill. We're just gonna char them a little bit, and I'll be honest, they're gonna stick. They're gonna stick a little bit because of all that sugar. We just wanna char that sugar. And I'm gonna do it covered. We've had our peaches from the grill. I can smell that caramel from the sugar coming off a little bit. We're gonna put a little bit of color on them, and then we're just gonna flip them. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. A little bit of char on there. One's a little bit under. We'll keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Do is grill these a little bit. Sometimes when you grill them, when you grill peaches or you grill tomatoes, the skin starts to come off. If you can manage to pull that skin off, great. If you can't, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Take these peaches, cut them or not, put them in a bowl, a little bit of vanilla ice cream, an almond streusel, some toasted almonds, some balsamico and extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of sea salt, anything you want to do with it. This is summertime. Enjoy. We'll see you next week.